about what the classroom will be set out like and how I'll use it differently to my own room. I've heard that it's in rows, which I haven't taught like that for a few years now.
I'm quite excited about it. I'm actually going to teach them just for a small portion of the lesson, and we're going to do some poetry.
How will two secondary teachers fare when, never having previously met, they swap classrooms? And what changes might result from this experience?
What do you think is the most important word there? You think it's how?
Ilma Hamad is an English teacher at Heston Community College in West London.
Important words? Yeah.
She likes to incorporate lots of drama and movement in her lessons, but has to do so within the confines of her classroom, really a hut, because she has no regular access to a drama studio.
Right, thank you very much. Okay, now I want you to step forward, say your word, do your action.
Intervention.
Yeah, so it could be intervention like that.
So you think we should put Benedict and Beatrice...
At Greenford High School, West London, Georgina Stevens also teaches English, spiced up with drama and media studies.
Yeah, you just need one between two, OK? So one name
She
hero.
too has to think laterally when organising her teaching space.
Who you think is closest to hero. So whose name would you put right next to her and whose would you put at the far end of the desk? So use the whole desk. The way I organise my room is with a horseshoe formation. So there's a row round the outside of the room, but then there's a central group of desks in the middle. Okay. Who sits on the central desk varies. There's a seating plan. I tend to use a boy-girl seating plan, and that's the standard seating plan. Okay, you should have done 4 by now. Come on, quick, quick. I will put a specific group on the middle table. So whether that's a differentiated group and you're working with your sort of level 3s, level 4s to get them up, or sometimes I'll have a level 5 group, or sometimes I have the gifted and talented group. One of you in your pair, you need to have a pen out, you need to write each character's name. If you've forgotten them, you can see them up here. So just write each character's name.
4 miles away at Heston Community College, Ilma has opted for a fairly traditional layout in her classroom.
The classroom itself is organised in rows, so the students are sitting in pairs, which allows me to manoeuvre in and out of the desks when I need to talk to them.
Philippa, where would you put Don John? One of the type of displays I like is having keywords up that the pupils can actually use in their work. So I've got a range of connectives up that I encourage them to keep looking at while they're writing. One of the displays I've got is a pupil's essay, which is up, annotated by me round the outside. I did that in a lesson with them so that they know exactly what made it an A grade, so they can use that in the future. Another type of display I've got is the pupils' actual work. So they did a brainstorm and they did research on genre, and I got them to visually do that to make it very visual as a reminder throughout the scheme of work. When I'm teaching descriptive writing, I like to remind them of the techniques. So I've got coloured stars with main techniques, and they can see them and refer to them while they're writing.
When I say your name or when I point to you... Around the classroom I've got display work, some of which is the students' work, and other things which I have with the help of students painted directly onto the walls. One corner we've got a synonym tree which has words of a similar kind so that students can vary their use of vocabulary in the lesson. I mean, the main idea behind the trees, there are 2 painted trees on the walls, is to make it colourful. There's another tree next to my whiteboard which says point quote analysis, and that's the structure of the paragraph that I like to work by. It's something that we teach year 7 up to A level really. The display at the back is on a novel called Skellig. Some of it's poetry writing, some of it's diary extract, and some of it's like descriptive work. Next to that work is a chalk drawing of the main character of the novel, which was actually drawn by some students.
Okay, now class, we are going to move this central group of desks. So what I want you to do in a minute is the people on these desks are going to move their chairs and tables to the side. The people around the outside, you don't need your chairs. You're going to form 2 rows facing each other with enough room. We don't have a separate drama space in this school, so we're expected to do all our drama lessons in the classroom. The pupils are quite used to that. They know that if it's drama today, they've got to get up and move the desks and put them back, and they do that quite easily. What I tend to do is just move the central desk, push the other desks back to the side, get the pupils in a circle. When they're rehearsing, obviously having 30 pupils in one room trying to rehearse is quite difficult. Right. I agree. Don John, definitely. It's his fault. It's not Claudio's fault. Okay, what have you got to say?
Well, instead of talking to you about what happened, he chose to believe Don John instead of believing you, and he embarrassed you in front of the whole people that were in the room.
In order to carry out drama work, myself and the kids, we will put the tables to the side and we'll put the chairs in the middle. So the circular chairs allow for a circular audience where the players or the actors will act in the middle, and so then they've got an audience to evaluate their performance.
Now I'm going to leave you, and another teacher's going to come in and going to teach you an activity to do with poetry. So I want you to impress her as much as you've impressed me and be on your best behaviour. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Although they've never met, Georgina and Ilma have bravely agreed to swap classrooms and teach each other's pupils.
Well, I've just left Greenford, my school, and I'm on the way to the next school. So I'm just thinking about what the classroom will be set out like and how I'll use it differently to my own room. I've heard that it's in rows, which I haven't taught like that for a few years now. I'm planning to do a poetry lesson with Year 7. I'm not going to move the desks. I'm actually going to keep them where they are, but get the pupils to move a little bit when they're feeding back. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay, I'm on my way to Greenford High School. I'm going to teach a group of Year 9s. I'm quite excited about it. I'm actually going to teach them just for a small portion of the lesson, and we're going to do some poetry. So hopefully it should be interesting.
Will the experience inspire them to make visual or organisational changes to their respective classrooms? Will they have new ideas to try out?
Hello Year 7, my name's Mrs Stevens and I'm an English teacher from Greenford High School. Okay, today we're going to be doing a short activity that's based around poetry. You've got a poem, it's quite a short poem, only 5 lines, and we're working with the person next to you. I'd like you to try and fill in the gaps, comparing the sun to something that works on there. So the first one that we're going to do together, it says, the sun is an something sailing across the sea. Now you see that I've got 5 people around the room and they are going to write our answers up. Nice and big. It is a something kicked high in the summer sky.
A golden football.
A golden football. Now we've just had a gold ring, we've had an orange ship. What colour should we put in? Yellow. So a yellow football, please. Nice and big, thank you. Okay, next one. It is a something on a sheet of pale blue paper. Now, the paper's like the sky.
Okay, today what we're going to do is we're going to look at a poem, but before we do that, we're just going to do a short activity. I want you to empathise with the role of a servant, okay? So I want you to think about the kind of thoughts that come out of your head when you hear this bell, okay? And I'm going to ring this bell 3 times, okay, and in different ways, and I want you to think about what you as the servant are thinking. Got it? What are you thinking now? Open your eyes. Okay, what were you thinking on that first bell? Who can remember back? what were you thinking on that first bell?
I was decided to I'm a bit tired, I want to go back to sleep.
Right, I want to go back to sleep. Right, second bell. Who had got up out of bed by the second bell? No, we're still sleeping. I like it. Right, second bell, what are we thinking?
Oh, not again.
Not again? What were you thinking? Same thing? Good? Yep. Oh, shut up, man.
To cast a fresh eye over the organisation and displays, we asked architect Gillian Horn for her tips and suggestions.
Georgina certainly has some fantastic displays in her classroom, and it was really good to see how she's using them interactively, whereas traditionally standard classrooms are considered quite dull by most students, and they prefer the practical subjects where they can do things. And what's great is to see how she's doing displays where they're interactive, and so students can actually use them within the lesson. But my tip for Georgina would be to zone it a little bit more and take away some of that distraction around the whiteboard, and so that the students can concentrate in certain viewing points and then interact in others. I was really inspired to see art in an English classroom and to see a tree not just drawn on the walls but actually even creeping up over the ceiling and really making something of this space. And I really think that it must change that environment and make it very special for the students. My tip for Ilma would be, though, to actually also bring an interactive element to it. It's very permanent, and that she could add to the trees that she's drawing, and so that the students can come with keywords or phrases or things that they're studying and actually work with that tree. And I think that would be really bring the classroom to life even more.
Following the swap, Georgina and Ilma meet for the first time to discuss what new insights they've gained from swapping classrooms.
My tip for you, I suppose, would be perhaps to try the horseshoe, but mainly, not just for the horseshoe, but for the central desk.
Yeah.
The way that I use it for a guided group, a differentiated group. They're really focused. You can see the rest of the class, but the group you're working with in the middle get a really focused, specific task, and they know that if they don't work with you that day, in a couple of weeks' time, they'll be the middle group working with you.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea because it focuses them as well, so that they know that when they come in, they've got a purpose, they need to do that work, and you've got an opportunity to rotate around as many students as you can.
Yeah.
My tip to you would be possibly to use the students for your displays. So if there are students that are very talented in art, you could sort of make use of their skills and work with them to sort of create maybe one or two focus displays. I thought your displays were fantastic. I think it covered a lot of areas, but maybe if you were to focus it, then it would make a direct impact on the kids as soon as they walked in.
Yeah, I really like that idea.
2 weeks have passed. It's time to visit our teachers and see whether they've put any of the tips into practice or made any changes.
One of the tips that I really liked was from Ilma, and she had a fantastic word tree on her wall. So one of the main displays that I've created recently is with Year 12 students, and I got a couple of them that do art. I just said to them, do a theme tree for the war, and gave them a few ideas and then just told them to get on with it, and they used their artistic experience and came up with a display that will be really useful from now on, really.
As a result of meeting Georgina and seeing her teach and using her classroom, I came back to Heston and I changed the layout of my room from the 4 rows of 4 into a horseshoe shape with some tables in the middle. Those tables in the middle I've used for work with a focused group, say 4 or 5 students of a similar ability, and evaluate their skills and get the best out of them, and it works extremely well.